Welcome to One Insight. My name is Litvin. I grew up in London and I now live in LA. And this is a podcast for extraordinary top performers and their coaches. You see, I've coached some of the most successful and talented people on the planet. I can see what most people cannot see, and I dare to say what most people wouldn't dare to say. And what I know about success is that on the other side of it, it can be incredibly lonely. You can feel more of an imposter the more successful you become. And when you're the most interesting person in the room, you're actually in the wrong room. Clients who are more successful, more intelligent, and wealthier than you need your support more than they know and more than you can imagine. I coach around insight. Life looks one way, something happens, and the world looks different, and your entire world changes. It can happen in an instant. And this podcast is called One Insight because a single insight can change everything. Today, I coached Catherine. Catherine's a member of 4PC. She is a top performer. She's an estate attorney by background, has a business that makes millions, really making an impact in people's lives, helping them create an amazing future for themselves and for their children. And she's had this taste of coaching and loves it. And she's sucked in to those things that drain her of energy in her business. So I teach her a tool that I call Hell Yes, Hell No, Maybe. And it will transform her business. It will transform her leadership team. And it will transform the life of all of them as they get more and more away from the hell no's, more and more into the hell yeses for their life and for their business. I tell her a story too about another tool called the Avoid at All Cost lists, which is a game changer. And she has this insight that has her say, wow. And then we're there. Enjoy. Hi, Catherine.
Hello, Rich.
Hey, what had you say yes to coming and joining me? Look, you're a member of 4PC. You're up to some really fun stuff. You have a business in the legal profession and taking care of people and their needs into the future. Why'd you say yes into coming this conversation?
First of all, I make it a policy never to turn down an opportunity to spend time with you because I get something from every opportunity to be in your presence in some way. And I'm moving closer and closer to where I want to be spending my time in this chapter of my life. And I'm not quite there yet.
So what would make this a valuable conversation?
If I was about to say, if you could help me figure out, if I could figure out how to stop buying into the excuses that I have made over the last few years to not fully spend my time in my zone of genius.
Okay. That was a long way of saying, how can I spend more time in my zone of genius, right?
Right.
Okay. What's your zone of genius? Tell me. What's that thing? What I call zone of genius comes from the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Those things you do that energize you and excite you. What is it for you?
It really is seeing people, holding space for people deeply and helping them discover what's between them and what they want in life. And I've been able to do a lot of that through my work as an estate planning attorney. And increasingly, I've been able to do that as the owner of an estate planning law firm, as the entrepreneur working not very much in the business anymore. And yet I'm still doing a lot of things that aren't that.
I pause to check in because the thing about this magical thing we do called coaching is there can often be so many different places to go. I'm pausing for a moment to see what might be valuable. Well, let me ask you, after you just shared, is there an insight or a thought that comes after that?
No, not yet. I'm still stuck in the challenge of the latest version, the latest iteration of there's some reason why I have to spend more of my time working in my business.
Mm.
And right now it's because we hired an attorney, we actually at the beginning of the summer, who's
I'm going to pause you
okay.
because what you're about to do is try and enroll me in a story that you believe in, and I don't have to. Here's what I noticed: super successful people are often over obligated and under committed. You know what commitments means. Commitments means if someone I love is in trouble or has a problem, I drop everything to make sure that's taken care of. That's a commitment. Obligations are things I think I ought to be doing, I should be doing. It's the thing that you're supposed to do. But the moment you know something happens, you know what a commitment is, and you understand what a distinction between an obligation.
Yes. And so I see that this is just a story, and I'm still having a hard time getting out of it. Getting myself out of the story in my head.
Well, what we need to find out is what you're committed to. I know you're committed to your husband, to your kids, to your grandchildren. No matter what, you drop everything for any one of them.
And I have had the opportunity to do that a number of times.
Yep. So we know there's evidence that you're committed to those things and those people.
Right. No matter how much the business quote unquote needs me.
Yep. I had a client who was about to begin as my protege. It means working with me for an entire year. It was a $100,000 investment. And she called me a week before, or left me an email, and it said, "Hey, Rich, I'm really sorry I can't make the first session. We're going to work together, but we're about to sign a multi-million-dollar deal and with another company, and my team can't do this without me." So I wrote to her and I challenged her and I said, "Hey, you know, it doesn't mean anything if you miss the first session. We'll just start one session later. But I don't believe you. I don't believe that your team couldn't do this without you. So I wouldn't be a powerful coach if I didn't challenge you in that thought. And I wonder whether this means you're not as committed to the coaching work we're intending to do together as you thought you were, and whether maybe this is not the right time and I should send the check back and maybe we shouldn't be working together right now." She wrote back to me a while later and said, "I'll be on that first session." And she said, "I went to saw my team after I got your email and said, this is what you guys are doing. You can handle the deal. You've got this." And they were really furious. "What do you mean? You're the one who does all this. We can't do this." They were so upset with me. But I said, I won't be there. I can't be there." She came on our call. We did our coaching session. 2 weeks later, whenever we spoke next, she said, "Rich, we signed the deal. And my team was so excited and so full of energy. They said, we couldn't believe we were mad with you, but you trusted us." And they rose to the occasion and they did what looked impossible. I could see the insights happening. I wanted to finish the story, but I know you got there before I even finished the story.
Yes and no. I still have, yeah, the story is still speaking loudly to me. And so I go to figuring out what would it look like, because we've put a, a lot of time and money and energy into getting to the place where we have a lot of people who want our help, and we're short an attorney right now. And so my other attorneys can only do so much, I'm thinking. And we have a set number of expenses. Um, so my brain was going to where, what am I not seeing in that? What are the ways that, okay, what what are the ways that they can multiply their time? What are the ways that they can offload the things that they don't have to do, that could be done by somebody else.
That's a great catch. So zone of genius works all the way down. If you're not modeling it for them, they don't know how to do it for themselves. I do this on a regular basis with my team. We look at what are those handful of things that energize us, excite us, fascinate us, that if we do them even if we weren't being paid. And how every quarter can we remove anything but those. Sometimes it takes longer than a quarter. Sometimes we're doing those things for a while until we can get rid of them. But I do it every level down on my team, taking away the things that don't thrill us and motivate us. Because
Mm.
someone else could be doing them. I remember saying we have a woman who sometimes cleans our house, sometimes takes care of the kids. And I said to her once, with my coaching hat on secretly, not realizing it, I said, do you love what you do? And she said, oh my God, Rich, I love what I do. She said, I go to my friend's house and I tidy up. The pictures are not straight. I can't help. I love to tidy people's homes and I love children. And I realized, oh, I secretly had a hat on thinking if she doesn't love what she does, I can help her and guide. She's in her zone of genius. Thank God, because I sometimes need help with my kids and I don't want to be tidying the house.
Right. And so if I walk in my commitment to, because it's been years and years and years that there's always something that comes up that I think I have to fix. If I really walk in my commitment, no matter what's going on, then other people have the opportunity to get creative. And one of the things that remains very important to me is coaching my leadership team. And so I can coach them on how to do that. Hmm.
Well, let me give you an exercise you can use immediately, both for yourself and with them, and then every layer down in the organization. Hell yes, hell no, maybe is the exercise. So for Catherine knows it, for those of you who are watching or listening, take a piece of paper and draw 2 lines to create 3 columns. The column on the left is hell no. The column in the middle is maybe. And the column on the right is hell yes. And you put down every project that you're working on, every activity you do into one of those 3 columns. It's a hell yes if it fascinates you, if it motivates you, if it fills you with energy, it excites you. That's a hell yes. If it absolutely drains all the living soul out of you, it's a hell no. And if it's a okay, I can do it, all right, it's a maybe. And then once you've got that list, you have a look at it and see which of those hell no's is a hell no for me, but might be a hell yes for somebody else. And who could we create that might want to do that? And then over time, you remove the hell no's, over time you move the maybes, and eventually you're just left with the hell yeses. But you do that once a quarter, once a year, to fill more and more of your time with more and more hell yeses and remove more and more hell no's. Look, you're a new business, you're bootstrapping, you're doing all of it. You've got no choice.
Right.
But as time goes on, you have to move more and more of that stuff away. One of the members of my team said to me the other day, Rich, I noticed that you're signing all the checks and making all the payments. Why don't we have that taken away from you? We'll have a limit on how much can be spent, but under a certain amount of money, someone else on the team can handle all that kind of payments without you being involved. I said, you know what? It's not that big a deal. The bookkeeper comes twice a month. I sign checks when she's there. I've got an app on my phone. But she caught me. She said, but every time you do that, that takes some of the energy away. I was, oh, you're right. It's not those few moments of time. It's the energy I'm holding to do all of that. That if I could let that go, there's more energy here.
That's a funny story because my leadership team just proposed to me this week that somebody else be a signer on our account.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That was not even a hell no, right? It's me, it's a maybe. It doesn't feel like much of a big deal, but it does hold things up. I become a bit of a bottleneck sometimes. And it does take a little bit of energy away from me. But then what are the hell no's? What are the things you do that actually drain you of energy that maybe you don't need to do? So we have two types of team meetings in my team. We have strategic team meetings. We have action meetings. Strategic team meetings, I love. We're thinking about the future. We're dreaming. We're planning. We're scheming for a year, 2 year, 5 years time. Action team meetings, we're going through what are the things you've done? Where do you need help? And it dawned on me about 2 months ago, I don't need to be at those action team meetings. And I told the team, and they were like, no, we think you do. I said, well, I'm not coming, in a nice way. and they haven't missed me. No one's ever said, why aren't you there? It just goes on without me.
Yes. And I have delegated a lot. And just this week, I experienced more things. Like I had 2 meetings yesterday that I could say right now, something like that is an absolute hell no for me. And especially now that I've had a taste of really going deep with someone as a coach, that that's where I want to be spending my time with my team, with private clients. Anybody can sign the checks.
Yeah. So there's one other list that you need, and it's called an avoid at all costs list. Let me tell you a story. Warren Buffett was approached by his pilot, who's bumped into his pilot, and his pilot he has worked for him for 10 years. And he said, oh my God, I just realized you've been here for 10 years. I haven't really been serving you because you're still doing the same job you were doing 10 years ago. Would you like some help with creating an amazing future? And the pilot said, oh my God, Mr. Buffett, that would be amazing. Okay, here's an activity. Make a list of the top 25 things you'd love to do in your life. And then come back to me. And a couple of days later, the pilot comes back and says, here's my list, Mr. Buffett, top 25 things I want to accomplish in my life. And Buffett says, okay, well, out of those top 25, what are your top 5? Come back in a couple of days with that list. 2 days later, he sees him and he says, here's my list of the top 5. And Warren Buffett says, well, what about the other 20 on your list? What are you going to do about them? And the pilot pauses for a moment, says, well, maybe in my spare time, maybe on the weekends or in vacation time, holidays, I'll work on those other 20 things. And that's when Warren Buffett got serious and said, no, that's your first mistake. Those other 20 just became your avoid at all costs list.
That's a struggle for me. I have a number of projects that excite me, that to which I bring something unique, that feels really fulfilling.
Well, that's amazing. That's in your hell yes list. But anything other than those projects becomes a hell no, becomes an avoid at all cost. I was so proud of myself. A couple of years ago, my computer printer, something went wrong with the Wi-Fi, the printer, and I called someone in. I used a website called TaskRabbit, booked someone to come and do it. I was proud of myself. Like, oh, I shouldn't be fixing this. I know it's well outside of my zone of genius. Happy to pay somebody 20, 30, 50, whatever it is an hour to get that handled. And then something went wrong with the scheduling on it. The guy made a mistake. He couldn't come. And I'm going back and forth on this TaskRabbit thing, trying to schedule it. And I realized, oh my God, I shouldn't even be the person organizing this, because anything to do with scheduling drains me. And I just need to tell someone who is great at scheduling, hey, I need someone at my house on this day at this time to fix a printer. Please organize. And maybe I don't even need to be there.
That is the next evolution for me.
Don't worry about the
I don't
how
like
to.
it feels hard.
Well, don't worry about the how to. I think you're going into how to. That's why we get
Yes.
stuck. Start with the exercise and do it with your team. Model for them how challenging it is. Hey, guys, we've got our first coaching exercise as a leadership team. It's called Hell Yes, Hell No, and Maybe. Make a list of all the things that you do and now put them onto one of these three categories. They have to go somewhere. Either it fills you with energy, it's a kind of, I could take it or leave it, or it drains the living soul out of you. Put it on one of those three things. And then let's just have a conversation. Don't try and do anything. Don't try and fix it. For now, just have a conversation. And then over time, you can look at what would happen if each of us removed the hell no's, removed the things that suck the living energy out of us. I wonder what would happen. You don't have to know how to. You don't have to take any action. Just have that wondering conversation with them.
That's easy. The conversation.
Yeah, know why it's easy? Because it's in your zone of genius.
Right. Yes. And then freeing not to have to figure out, especially not ahead of time, what happens next and how to get the things off the list.
Oh, well, I tell you what happens next. You say to them, okay, by the time we meet next, have a think about how you could remove one of these things from your list. Give it to them. You don't have to do it for them.
That's a new practice for me,
Mhm.
not being the one to fix everything for them.
Yeah, you're there to empower them, not to solve their problems.
Right. Right. And they appreciate that.
I think we're there for this moment, Catherine.
Yeah, I do too.
Let me tell you one more story. I think this might be interesting. I had a client a few years ago. She was in her early 30s, had built a $30 million business. And she came to work with me because she was tired and bored and frustrated with the business. She wanted to sell it and she wanted to become a professional coach. I challenged her because I saw something that she hadn't seen, that the most amazing clients were this close to her. They weren't out there in the world where she could try and do all that was needed to be done to get clients. They were her leadership team. And if she put her attention on these people and served them and coached them and challenged them and inspired them, that her entire business would change. She wouldn't be the kind of business owner she used to be. And she'd be using those very coaching skills that she wanted to put out into the marketplace, except she'd be able to take a $30 million business that she created by the age of 33, and who knows what she'd be able to do with it next once she brought a culture of coaching into the organization.
My leadership team has recently asked me to go deeper in coaching with them. And I still had a limited vision of what that looked like until you were just speaking about that. And I thought about the coaching proposal that I'm about to make to a private client and all that that would look like. And why would I not be doing some of those things with my leadership team?
Well, you have a business that makes millions, and every moment you spend coaching those people, not just the financial impact it will have on you and them, but the impact in the world, because in the world of estate planning, you create safety for people. You allow them to make an amazing future occur for them and for their children and for their children's children. The impact will be huge every hour you spend coaching there.
My vision just got bigger.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that wow is sometimes the sound of insight. We're there. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Rich.
For most of human history, it wasn't called coaching, it was called leadership. And it's what I love to do, to coach people, to lead people, and to mess with people's thinking. If you'd like more of this, or if you'd like to learn more about our community of extraordinary top performers, go to richlitvin.com/oneinsight.